Good morning. It's that time. Yeah, it's that time. We are excited about today. Let me tell you something. Long time in the making. It's a party. And y'all asked for it and it's here. Yeah, it's a party. Hopefully your hands are bobbing as we get ready for the world premiere of the Denise Nedra Power Hour. Hey, come on, in the chat. Are y'all ready for it? Are y'all ready for it? Yeah, I know I am. I'm excited. Listen, we got a power-packed hour with the Denise and Nedra Power Hour. And I'm not going to belabor the time. There is two strong black women traders that I'm bringing up to the platform. I have the privilege of introducing this morning. Is everybody ready for this? Come on, type in the chat that you're ready for this. We got to set the stage. Sometimes you just got to set the stage because the doors are getting ready to be open. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm excited. This first person I'm bringing up to the stage, we call her the Scalping Queen. Now listen here. Both individuals that I'm going to bring up to the stage are not just anybody, okay? They both been through the gauntlet. They passed every test, and they're funded over 7 figures in prop firm funding. We got to figure out what they're doing, how they're doing it, but more importantly, they're blazing a trail for others to follow, especially black women. And so we're going to end for a treat. I want to bring up to the stage first Dr. Denise, the Scalping Queen. Let's bring her up to the stage. Dr. Denise.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, fellow advancers.
It's good to see you.
Good
And
to
then
see
you have a partner in crime.
Yes,
that's
I
been
do.
doing her thing as well. We got to bring up Nedra to the stage, the day trading mom.
Yes. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nedra.
Good morning.
How
Good
are you
to
guys?
see you both. Excited?
I'm doing well. Excited.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like a little kid last night. You know, a little kid that can't go to sleep because something exciting is happening in the morning.
Yeah. Well, how do you both feel? You both. This is your show. We're excited for what you're going to share with us. I think we're going to do a little talking, a little trading. How are you both feeling?
Pretty good. It's like the start of a new beginning. You know, we kind of chatted just briefly this morning, but it's like we're used to coming on the lives Monday through Thursday, and you know we're comfortable with that. And today just felt like something new.
Wow. Well, let's get into it. And you know, I know everyone is tuning in the chat, and we've been heavily anticipating having you both launch this extraordinary power hour. So let's just jump right into it because I know you have a lot of nuggets to share, and a lot of the advancers are familiar with both of you. But let's just start right there. Let's introduce you both to the world. Can you start by telling us just a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in Forex and futures and trading?
You want to go first, Denise?
Yeah. Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I am a project program manager by career trade. Started out in computer science back in the day. And I really, I knew about investing in mutual funds and those types of things, but probably 2022, our apostle, Joshua Giles, brought Dr. Jessica Clements to do a presentation for his network. And that was my first introduction to Forex. And subsequent to that, I saw her at another event where she did a presentation, and then decided to sign up for one of her classes. And I took that in September of 2022. And then Terrace and Tim and Dustin from our church, from Kingdom Embassy, yay, started this group, Advance the Kingdom. And so I was really excited to join that. That started in like February, I think it was, of 2023. And so that was, again, my intro to being in a community, another community focused on Forex. Yeah, and then we switched over to futures.
Nice. And what about you, Nedra?
I am a registered nurse by trade. I've been a nurse for 15 years now. Long time. And I would say I got introduced. I've always had an interest in the financial markets, but I didn't really understand anything. You know, I saw squiggly lines and numbers on the screen, but I always wanted to know, what is that? What are they reading? You know, what is that about? And then like a lot of other people, like during the pandemic, I came across an ad on YouTube by a woman by the name of Terry Igioma, and she had a company called Trade and Travel. And her ad was so good, you know, like a lot of those ads like look like scams or whatever. But for some reason, I was like, you know, I'm gonna check this out. And so I did. So that was my first introduction into the market. But she trades stocks. Mm-hmm. And then I had a friend who was trading Forex, and I knew nothing about Forex, like foreign exchange, currency. I'm like, people trade this and they make money. And my friend Trevor and True, they told me about that. So I started looking into that. And then I finally took some courses with Forex. So I ended up taking a course with Jessica Lane, and then she wasn't doing one-on-one students. So I ended up doing a one-on-one mentorship with Dr. Jessica as well. And I went to a boot camp, and at that boot camp with Dr. Jessica, I got the chance to meet Dr. Lakeisha and Dr. Denise, and that's what led me into the Advanced Kingdom ATK community. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. I've been with you guys for like the past year and a half, and has really taken my trading to a whole different level. But and yeah, and we obviously all switched over to futures because of a lot of things that was going on in the Forex market, as far as the regulated brokers versus unregulated brokers. So here we are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, you've both been excelling in trading and different things. Now, the industry has a very low representation of African American women, Black women. There's a low representation of Black women. What's for you? What's been some of the biggest challenges that you face when you first started trading? Particularly, speak from just as your experience as a Black woman in a field that has very low representation of Black women in it. What has been some of your biggest challenges?
Yeah, I think for me, so when I first started, I have to say I was a little shocked by those numbers, because I guess with social media and everything, when I first started, and especially because I took Terry Igioma's course, and she's a Black Christian woman, I kind of saw a different representation. I know that historically, Wall Street doesn't look like us, but me starting out, I have to say that I did have good representation of Black women in the industry. However, the challenge is, I think, when you first enter this industry, is just not knowing like which way to go, who to trust, strategies. And you see it's so much information overload, and you have to really find a good community to to be with so that you're not wasting a whole lot of time, money, and education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Mine was a little different because, well, again, my first intro was Dr. Jessica Clements, but still, when you look on the internet, when you search items related to Forex and futures on YouTube, 2 years ago, you weren't seeing us. I didn't. It's more dominated by Caucasians in the market, especially men. And so being in the community, the two communities helped me be able to see people like me that had the same interest. And I am an introvert. So, being able to find people that like the same thing I like and get excited about talking about a trade, talking about price action. I mean, I just was like in a whole nother world. So that just really supported my growth. Having this intimate community where we can get to know each other. We have the same interests. So it's not like, I have friends outside of trading and they don't want to hear anything about it. Basically, it's just not their cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. But to be here and then to be able to have people that look like me to talk to about the trades and how things are going and to set goals for ourselves has been powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now you got to bring us into your world. Your world is, and you're both, like you said, you're private individuals, and I've you've been a hidden secret. So it's like you've told me in the background, it's like, hey, we're funded over, each of you came separately. We're funded over 7 figures in prop firm funding, and we're trading millions of dollars. And so bring us into that journey. Can you share, a story about some significant success that you've had, or a significant setback that you've had in your journey? Tell us how you handled that. Bring us into that behind the scenes.
Well, it was definitely behind the scenes, Tim, I have to say, right? Because even when, you presented the flyer and you're like, oh, like, let's post this and promote it or whatever, I was like, a lot of people don't even know I trade. So, but I would have to say, I didn't even know about prop firms, when I first started trading, and I didn't even know that was an option, and I think that's one of the things that keep a lot of people kind of away from trading, because the perception is that you need all of this money to start. And so when I found out about prop firms, I'm like, wait a minute. So I can put a little bit of money up front, take a challenge, prove that I know how to trade, and then they'll give me capital to trade with, and I can make money off of their money. I'm like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, even if you're going to have your own personal account, which I suggest that everyone, does, but why wouldn't I use this as one of the vehicles, into making money? And then in the beginning, it was like, oh, I just want to pass a challenge. And then I was like, wait a minute. So wait, you can have more than one account and you can trade on several accounts, and then one of my dear friends, Rashida Soto, she told me about, the trade copiers, and that you can have multiple accounts and trade all of the accounts at the same time. And I just went down a rabbit hole. I was like, wait a minute. I'm about to do this over and over and over and over again. And then at some point I made $1 million goal. I was like, I want $1 million in trade, funding. And that's what I'm going to do. However, it was not an easy road to get here. It's been, it took me, I say a little, maybe less than a year in order to achieve that. And that's the other thing about trading. You can't put a timestamp on it. Like, your success may take 5 years. Someone else's success may take a year. You really just can't put a timestamp on it. But the biggest challenge I would say with getting this funding is the discipline that it takes in order to get here, and not letting your failures or your setbacks define your future. Yeah.
That's definitely one thing that I've had to work on, because it looks simple. And those that have been in this game way longer, when you first look at what they're doing, it looks simple, but it is more, I'd say it's more complicated. It's a journey of learning. It's a journey of learning a skill. So just like we prepare ourselves in the natural for whatever jobs we hold, and careers that we focus on, you have to prepare yourself, and be a continuous learner. And I think when I started out, I was trading my own money. And I was super excited when I found out I didn't have to trade my own money, right? Because that was deep right there. So that and trading psychology, I think, has made the biggest, it's a grounding point for me. It's a foundation in being able to draw myself back center, because you can get excited for the win, and then 1 or 2 or 3 errors will cause you to blow an account. And I can remember the first challenge that I passed was a $200,000 challenge in Forex. And I was talking to another trader that had been in the game longer than me, and he had been trading his own money. He had never done a prop firm. And he's like, well, just take a break. Just take a break for a few days, and then let things settle, and then go back in and, trade your account. And I'm like, okay, sure thing. Got off the phone and went right back to trading and blew the account. Blew the account. Not that day, but I ended up blowing the account. Why? Because my psychology was like, you did this and you're going to keep doing this with no error. You're not going to have a problem, when that's not reality. And so I was not prepared for the loss. But what I found out, and even in experiencing that loss, I had to get back in the game. Because if I believe that this environment is for me, I cannot sit on the sideline and wish it to happen. I learned from that mistake. And not to say that I haven't blown things since then, but I've learned that if I'm going to be a successful trader, I have to manage my emotions. I can't get excited just because price is moving. I have to be able to see the confluences. I have to be able to see things agree on the chart before I take the move, or else I can put myself back in a situation where my accounts will be in drawdown. And so that trading psychology, as much as we want to look at the skill of trading, yes, that's important, but the trading psychology, the mindset, and how we think about money will make the difference in you being a successful trader or not.
That's good. That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're saying in the chat, it is a psychological thing. Skill set is a small part of it. It's mostly psychological. We're going to go back to, talk about trading and different things. I know you're going to trade here in a little bit. But we started by talking about the representation of Black women in the trading industry. And I think it was Money Magazine that said it's less than 0.4%, not even a percent of day traders are African-American women. And so with that said, what do you think contributes to such a low underrepresentation from African-American women?
I think some of it, do you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
I think lack of awareness and exposure is probably one of the top things when we look at African American women in this. And sometimes we have so programmed our mind that it's for somebody else, but not me.
Mm.
So when we do see it, you know, we'll desire it, but we'll feel like it might be unattainable for us.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one area, being exposed to communities, community networks, that exposure piece, financial education. Most of us did not grow up in households where they had invested in mutual funds and the stock market. You know, our parents might have been blue collar parents. They worked for a living, they paid their bills, they bought a house, they paid that mortgage, they paid for their cars, they paid their bills, but they did not look at long term investing for the future. And so that exposure, educational um, barriers in regards to financial education, futures, trading, mutual funds.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with Dr. Denise. She like took the words right out of my mouth. It's definitely exposure, because when I started trading, there was not one person I can pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, can you give me some advice on this? What do you know about this?" You know, when you're going into something new, it's so nice to be able to call a familiar voice or you know, a familiar face and say, "Hey, what do you know about this?" And there was no one for me to pick up the phone and call. Not one person. And I think that that's in a lot of African American households where we don't know anyone else that's doing it. And, you know, in our community, trust is a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
we'll call somebody a scammer in a minute, you know? So I need someone to tell me that this is okay. So embarking on a territory that's unknown is a very scary thing. And a lot of people shy away from that because, especially when it comes to money, because you don't want to lose your money. We work really hard for our money. We have to feed our families. Like, you're not trying to throw any of your money away. And so, yeah, the fear and just not having the exposure, I think, is what keeps a lot of Black women, especially, out of it.
Yeah.
And I will add one more thing, risk tolerance, because we grew up in an era, and our parents and grandparents in an era where you did not, this would have been like betting and gambling in their eyesight. Because the mode was to have a savings account that gave you, you know, 1% interest or less.
Less.
You know, that was the thing. I mean, they grew up in eras where you had a savings account, but you didn't look past that risk tolerance to say that I'm going to put my money towards something that may or may not bring me increase. It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you become what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
And so, let's dive into that a little bit. How did you find community, or how important is community to your journey and mentorship to your journey in trading? Have you found, or have you created a network that supports you as a Black woman who trades? You can't, like you said, you can't go to the dinner table or pick up the phone, call someone. How important is community to you in your journey?
Extremely.
Yeah, community has been the most important part of this journey for me. And I have created a web. And I can truly say that I did that. Like, I stepped out on faith and I just contact people. If I see someone that, you know, I feel like we could have the same type of spirit or energy or whatever, I will contact people and say, "Oh, I see you're trading, you know, and ask questions, you know." I didn't mind also spending money on education You know, I went to nursing school and I spent thousands of dollars getting that degree. So my mindset was, okay, if I spent over $100,000 in becoming a nurse, you know, why can't I spend $15,000 towards education and trading? Now, not everyone has to do that. Some people never spend any money on education because they have, you know, free information everywhere, YouTube and YouTube University, they like to call it. Yeah. But I made a choice that I wanted to have a structured education around it. So I did buy mentorships, and within those mentorships, I was able to meet a lot of traders, and I built community out of that. However, ATK, you know, I'm always going to shout out ATK. You know, being here was the best decision that I've made, because it was a Christ-centered trading community. And even though a lot of my other mentors also were God-fearing and, you know, believed in God, but this was different. We were getting up every morning doing prayer and devotion, and that piece of it was just so pivotal for me and for my journey, where I wasn't just waking up and thinking about money, but I was putting God first. And that has been so important. So yeah, community is extra important, but you got to also make sure that you end up in the right community.
Yeah, I would agree. Investing in yourself, you know, we put a lot of money towards other things that are not going to bring us back a return. But anytime you invest in yourself, invest in where you want to go, invest in what you desire, then you're going to be able to see the returns from that. So that making that investment in education for me was important. Again, I am more on the introverted side, so I'm not naturally going to reach out to people like Nedra. She's got that, you know, thing going on, but I'm more introverted, and so when I see something or introduced to something, I'll follow up or I'll research after I've been introduced to a concept or something. But to just naturally reach out to people, I'm not that person. But when I found out that my guys were in my church and they were developing this community, I'm like, hey, I'm in, I'm good. Y'all can't leave the bus without me, okay? So I like gravitated to that. And I'm telling you, for our group, the Christ-centered aspect is on the money. It's just everything for me. When I look at that, and like Nedra said, we put devotion first. There might be news happening, but we'll get to the news and we'll get to the charts, we'll get to the trades, we'll get to all of that. But our first mission and focus is to center our hearts and minds on Christ Jesus. He's developed this ATK community for a body of believers that truly want to be kingdom financiers and be able to support the gospel, support whatever calling God has placed them in, to be able to move the gospel forward and to build a legacy for our families. And so that was really, really important to me. And I really saw that as I could connect, and I have grown in relationship with those that are in our community tremendously. It's been a help.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, community is really important. And whatever you do, you have to surround yourself around like-minded individuals. Yeah. So trading, you know, it's important to have community. You don't get to hear a lot of the trading conversation in a lot of circles. And so it's important to have that community. But not having that conversation in a lot of circles creates a lot of misconceptions about what trading is and different things. Can you talk to what are some of the common misconceptions that you've encountered when you're talking about trading to other people, or and particularly to what you trade, Forex and futures? What have you heard out there? or what were some of the concepts that you had coming in that or may have been a misconception?
I think one of my misconceptions was I thought it would be easier. I didn't think it would be easy, but I thought it would be easier than what it was. So, I figured like, oh, a couple of months, of learning and I'll get it. And it was not that. So I think that that's a big misconception. Like trading is, you need a lot of education in order to do it. And it's not to say like, oh, it will take you 4 years of education, but you have to really want to learn the skill, and you have to put the work in. You got to be on the charts. You got to learn the terminology. You have to put in the work. So one of the misconceptions is that it's easy. The other misconception, I think, is that it's fast money. And trading is not fast money. It's a business. And you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset in order to be successful at it. If you're coming in trying to figure out a way to make a quick dollar or fast money, then I would say that trading is not for you, because you will definitely lose more than you gain having that type of mindset. And yeah, I think those are some of the misconceptions. What do you think, Dr. Denise?
Yeah, definitely it's easy, because you're watching somebody that's just on a chart setting up a trade, and like poof, this person has already gained like $3,000 on this one trade. Wow, that's exciting. That would be exciting to anybody, but the knowledge, what we don't take into consideration is the knowledge and the time that they have spent in this learning journey to get them to be able to have that type of trade. Right. And that type of trade is not going to happen every day. It's not going to happen every day. Don't bank on that happening every day. But what you can bank on is being successful in applying your knowledge, taking it bit by bit, small trade by small trade. And I love this thought that Mia shared with me. She's in our group. Shout out to the Sunshine Trader.
Hi, Mia.
She said that the Lord had really talked to her about, in setting the goal, look at what your yearly salary is. Break that down to a month, and then break that down to a week and a day. And when you look at that, if you set that as your goal, you're not looking at $1,500 in a day. Most of us, right? We're not looking at $1,500 to $2,000 in a day. When we see these type of trades, that's I don't want to say an anomaly, but it's not every day. But if you set and look at what's reasonable to say, if I make my current salary and divide that out, and I take that as my goal for the day, you be in a much better position. Now, the issue with that is the trading psychology. Because are you willing to stop at that? Are you willing to just stay right there and be satisfied with that amount? And you have to remind yourself, yes, this is what I would make in a day on my job. This is what I would make in a week on my job, and be satisfied with that. It's a good way to train yourself and be disciplined.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you get excited about those $3,000 trades or $1,500 trades, and you expect that. And when you lose a trade to that magnitude, then you go off the wall someplace and you disappear, and you can't.
It's different. It's different when you lose it.
Yes, it's different when you lose it. And so that was a eye-opening conversation that I had with Mia one day. And then the other part of that it takes lots of money. I mean, again, when I first started out, I was trading my own money. I was so glad to see prop firms. I was so glad to see prop firms. I didn't have to risk. Yes, thank you, Tim. That I didn't have to risk my own money, because that allowed me to free up and get out of some of the fear of trading.
Yeah.
and put myself in a position, more of a position of learning and disciplining myself. So yeah, those two things I would concur with Nedra.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And I know we're going to be you're going to be trading a little bit just towards the end. But before we get there, I want to just go back to we have a lot of individuals that are looking at this broadcast right now, and a lot of them are African American women. They might be interested in trading, but they may be hesitant to start where they're at. So, can you talk to them? What advice would you give them if they're thinking about starting out?
I would have a question for them actually first is, do you have genuine interest?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people go into different arenas because of the money. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was in nursing school, the first day, it was like the orientation, and the dean, she said, look to your left and look to your right. You probably won't see your neighbor in the end. Wow. And I was like, gosh, well, that's harsh, but it's true. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people go into different arenas for the wrong reasons. So my question would be, do you have a genuine interest? Start there. And if you actually do have a genuine interest in it, then I would say, don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. There's so much information out here. There's so many communities out here. It's different. It's not like it was years ago. And the fact that you can learn the skill and utilize prop firms, you don't really have to put a lot of your personal capital on the line. Mm-hmm. So do your research, join a community. I mean, ATK, shout out to ATK again, join us on YouTube, do your research, and join a community and just start to get information. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. I feel like if I can do it, if Dr. Denise can do it, a lot of other Black women that I know that are doing it, if we can all do it, you can too. So yeah, put the fear aside.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I would add to that, look for trusted people that you can trust within this arena. Educate yourself. Use the tools that are there to learn and to gain that knowledge that you need and build the skills. Get a TradingView account. You can do it for free. And paper trade. Paper trading is the bomb because you're not paying for a challenge, right? You're not paying for a challenge, but you can learn the skill. You're going to use the same skill on paper trading that you would in live trading. Also, if you're going to paper trade, start with something reasonable, like maybe do a $3,000 paper trading account, something that's going to be small, or $1,000 paper trading account. So you're not going to look at trading $100,000 right off the bat, and you'll see how that grows with a 2-to-1 trade and get all excited. Use a smaller account size so that it will seem natural and you won't get all, bent out of shape on seeing these large numbers and get all excited about that. And then get to your prop firm account or your account that you're going to use your own money on, whichever you decide to do, and then lose your account that way. I would also say community, paper trading, you get the resources, connect with people that are doing what you desire to do. Yeah.
And do your due diligence and know and understand risk management.
Yes.
Risk management is so important to understand in the beginning, because I feel like I kind of had to backtrack on risk management to really understand it. You hear it, but you don't really apply it and understand it. And so, yeah, starting off risk management is very important.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I'm going to ask the question, because I know it's out there in the audience, is that they're looking at you too. They're saying, hey, you're trading millions of dollars. You know, you've gotten there. I want to do that. And is that possible for them? And how do you become successful? In, what have you learned going in your journey to seven figures? What have you learned? How do you be successful in this?
I think for me, I think I am probably the senior member, the senior member of ATK. So I feel like people or women and men, it's never too late. It's never too late to start trading and start looking at increasing your assets, financial assets through trading. I think, again, to be successful is building that discipline. It's learning to back test. And when we say back test, it's like you're not looking at today, you're looking backwards in the market on a chart and determining if your strategy supports these moves. And would they have been successful is marking up a chart from days that have already passed and applying your strategy to see how successful your strategy is. And again, one, you got to have a strategy. So what are you depending on to be your confirmations, confluences in the market to set up your trades? That's very important. Not chasing after money. Tim is definitely, taught us about that. Rashida, Dr. Jessica, everybody that we've run into, let the trade come to you. Let the trade come to you. We scalp on the 1 minute and 30 second. I do. I know Nedra does. So when you are looking at a 1 minute chart, if you miss that entry, in a few minutes you're gonna have another entry. In maybe a half an hour or hour, you're gonna have another entry. We're not talking about being on a 1 hour or 4 hour chart. Let the trade come to you. Do not be over anxious about getting in a trade and it's already moving, because it can turn around. And then you'll find yourself very upset that it turned in the opposite direction and you're losing money. We've all done it, so we don't have to be ashamed to say it, or, we've all done it. But again, those would be some of the things that I would say.
Yeah, I would say as far as the journey to success, I think that the two most important things, and I feel like we touched on this a couple times already, but is education and psychology.
Yeah.
Before even thinking about money or trading or anything, like invest in your education.
Yeah.
Invest in the education, because the money is a byproduct of the skill.
Definitely.
Once you tighten up the skill, the money will be a byproduct of that. So education, and psychology, because I struggled so much with that. I mean, I think Dr. Jessica was somewhere here in the chats. Like when when she was mentoring me, I was calling her like, Dr. Jessica, what is wrong? When I first started off with Tim, I was like, Tim, what's happening? Like the psychology of it. Because when you feel like you're working so hard to learn something and you're just not getting it right away, I'm used to, I'll read something, I'll retain it, I understand it, and I move on. But with this, it's more than just reading and understanding. You really have to analyze charts and understand price action, understand what makes that instrument move, or that currency move. You really have to understand it. So the educational piece is a biggie, and the psychology, overcoming. Let me tell you, trading will open up some things about yourself
Yeah. Greed.
that you did not know about. You know, like I learned that I do not like losing. You know, I learned that. And so with trading, I had to learn how to be a loser, right? Like I had to learn how to lose. I'm like, and when do you have to learn how to lose? But I said to myself, well, you know what? Successful entrepreneurs know how to lose. You know, you have to learn how to lose in order to win. So that was, you know, a big light bulb moment for me. You know, greed will come up. Fear will. I mean, I've gone through every emotion. I've gone through greed. I've gone through fear. Like, you know, you get greedy, then you lose the trades, and then you get fearful because you just lost the trade. Like, so it's all these different emotions that come up, and you have to be able to work through all of that stuff and really just take the skill that you've learned and apply it, but try to minimize the emotion that you bring to the charts daily.
My favorite quote is, "Failure is the womb to success."
Yes.
Failure is the womb to success. If you can learn from your mistakes and build that into your plan and understand why you failed, then you have the ability to be successful.
Yeah. That's good. Failure is the womb to success.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's good.
Now we have over a little over 10 minutes left in the power hour. This has just been good. You have been dropping nuggets, bombs. It's been so good. But for the next few minutes, why don't you walk us through, because you both have a unique trading style, very specific of what you look at. And it's like a 1-2 punch. This is what I'm looking for. This is it. Okay, I'm done for the day type of thing. And very interesting and profitable strategy. So can you open up a chart, walk us through the strategy? Maybe make us a couple thousand a day.
I will tell you this. I am not trading today because Jerome is speaking.
In the house. Jerome is in the house, okay?
That's the caution right now.
And it's a Friday.
Fed chair, Jackson Holder's going on. Jerome Powell is speaking. Yeah.
For those who don't know, Jerome Powell is the Fed chair. And when he speaks, the market goes a little bit crazy.
The market reacts.
And Nedra and I kind of discussed it. We know people want to look at the trading. So we'll put this caveat out there that we will be having another session where we'll focus more on the trading. But this is kind of definitely our introduction.
And Tisha has a good point. When will the next power hour be?
Tisha, you had to go there. Tisha, come on now. You were supposed to leave that to Terrace and Tim. not my group partner, okay?
Right. We haven't set a date yet, but the next one will definitely be more chart related. Chart related. And strategy related.
Yeah, this has been excellent, and the chat is going. Has been talking. Hasn't stopped talking since you all been talking, and so it has been a lot of insight today.
Yeah,
so appreciate you both.
Yeah, well, we hope that you've enjoyed the discussion this morning.
Yeah. But I know that you wanted to talk charts a little bit. And for me, I do enter my trades on a lower time frame, the 1 minute, and shamefully the 30 seconds I look at sometimes. However, I am always looking at the higher time frames to make a general bias on where the trade or the day might be going. So I usually won't look higher than the daily. If I look at the monthly or the weekly, is mainly just to mark some levels. But I'll look at the daily level. I like to look at the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 15 minute. And then I'm mostly, after making my my bias as far as like whether I feel like price is going to be bullish or if it's going to be bearish, I'll mainly look at the 15 minute and I enter on the 1 minute. And so I'm basically looking at major levels like support and resistance. And, you know, I'm looking at areas of support to get into buys, and I'm looking at areas of resistance to get into sales. And usually, as far as like indicators, I'll use like a 50 MA and a TDI to help with some of my entries. And that's about it. I also like trends. So every once in a while, I will throw a trend line on there. They're not always as reliable as support and resistance, but I will use trend lines as well. And then, yeah, that's it. I mean, the lower time frame for me, I started to like it way more than the higher time frame, because once you learn the higher time frames and you understand market structure, when you drop down to the lower time frame, what you realize is that it's just price within price. So if you can figure out those smaller moves within the larger moves, then you can get to your daily goal in a much quicker time frame. Like, why would I sit in a trade for 5 hours when I could literally make my goal in 15 minutes? Like,
yeah.
I'd rather take that trade and be out. And yeah, so that's how I look at the charts on a daily basis. But I have to say, in order to scalp, you gotta, the precision is so important, because if you're taking smaller moves with bigger size, that also means that you can lose bigger and quicker. So you really have to be on point with precision. So if I don't see all of my confluences, then I don't get in the market. And the times that I've jumped the gun and entered the market without my confluences, it usually does result in a loss. So you got to wait for everything to line up.
Yeah, I normally will mark up my charts on Sunday and start at the week, the day, and then go down to the 4, the hour, and then look on when I start the actual week, like either Sunday night or Monday, I'll mark up my 15 minute, look where we are there, and 5 minute, and normally trade on the 30-second and 1 minute. During the week, though, I rarely go back up to the day. I'll sometimes check it out, but it's not as important for me as it is like the 1 hour, the 4 hour during the week, because I'm looking at like, where's my max moves during that day. And it's normally, I'm looking at that 1 hour, 4 hour to be able to get that picture of my levels there and how much progress we are, where the TDI is. And like Nedra, I don't always use the trend line. I might mark it up on the trend line because that can be important a lot of times, especially like this past week when I see that I marked the trend line, it's touched the trend line several times. And so that way I know that, you know, if it came down once or twice on that trend line, I can almost be assured that it's going to react there.
Yeah. And you both have a unique style. We laugh about it. It's like, okay, I'm done for the day. So 20, I think the saying is 25 ticks a day keeps the job away.
Yeah.
I still got my job though.
Yes. Don't leave your job. Don't leave your job. Don't leave your job yet until you have like seriously got the capital in your bank account. Don't leave your job.
Right.
Funded accounts, yes, go for it. Get the funded accounts. But just because you get a funded account, do not leave your job.
Yeah.
Amen.
You're led by the Lord in when to leave your job.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But can you talk to that? Your oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, Tim. I'll say what I say afterwards.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about that with your strategy? You know, you said I'm in for 15 minutes and I'm good. for the day, and so it's not a huge time requirement for you. You can go about your day, do your job, do all of that is 15 minutes. But what made you choose the 25 ticks as a profit target versus a longer run?
Actually, one of my friends, because I was doing more intraday trading, and my friend Rashida, I think she's in the chat. She put the nugget in my head. She's like, "Girl, you need to go to the lower time frame and trade on there." And I'm like, "It's moving too fast. I can't that scares me, the fact that it's moving so fast." But what I realized when I started to study it was that the lower time frame also has structure. You could throw fibs on lower time frames. There's still support and resistance on the lower time frames. So it's the same thing that's happening on the higher time frames is also happening on the lower time frames. It's just microscopic and it's a little faster. So once you master market structure and the movement of price action, I would tell anybody first starting off, it's better, I think, to understand the higher time frames. But once you master that and you really understand market structure, support and resistance levels, key levels, once you get all of that, take it down to the lower time frame and you can do the same exact thing. It's just that it's faster. So one of the reasons why I started trading is because I want time freedom also. So I don't want to spend all day looking at a chart and all day looking at the computer. So I really wanted to maximize how can I get to my daily goal within the shortest amount of time.
Right. And I concur with that, Rashida, and the 25-25.
Yeah.
that was enlightening. And I think for me, when I look at the chart, I'm gonna trade on the 1 minute 30 second, but I'm always gonna check the time on the candles on the 15 and the 5, because I know that if we got a 15-minute candle or a 5-minute candle and it's coming to the close of that, I want to be careful in how I position my trade and when I go in, because there's going to be at the new 5-minute or 15-minute, let's start, because that would be my higher time frame, 15-minute. That 15-minute candle has got to create a wick in whatever direction it's going to create. And then after that wick is made, then it's going to go in that direction. And so I'm not going to jump in at the start of a 15-minute candle. I'm going to have to wait 1 or 2 minutes before I get into that trade to allow that wick to form. Once that wick is formed, I'm good. Then I can kind of balance and know exactly where I need to place my trade.
Yeah. And you both have been trailblazers in especially in our community, in trailblazing to these lower time frames. Terrence is in the chat joking about structure on the lower time frame. And so a lot of that was revelation to a lot of us in, finding, we were on the 4-hour, 1 hour, daily, weekly, finding structure. But you've really trailblazed the path for others to come down into that 30-second, 1 minute time frame and find some great moves that end up playing out for the long run.
Yeah.
So
I look at the way I look at the lower time frame versus the higher time frame is the higher time frames, the monthly and the weekly, is the whole body, and the 30 seconds and the 1 minute is the cellular level. So that's kind of how I look at it. But you need all of those things to make up everything. So it's just biting down the size of it. That's all.
Yeah. Structure within structure.
Structure within structure.
Structure within structure.
Yeah. Now you get on me about my analogies. Now you're the nurse and you're talking about body and cellular structure. That's a great analogy for this.
Mitochondria. It's like the mitochondria. Look that up.
Oh, man, you're going deep on them today. Okay.
Oh, wow. So this has been a great segment. We're at the 9 o'clock hour. A lot of gems have been released here. Any closing comments? And thank you for doing this. This has been great. I'm excited about the next Denise Nedra Power Hour. But any closing comments?
This was so exciting today, Tim. Thank you for putting this together. And, if anyone is interested, please do tell them about our free courses on YouTube so that people can, look at that. If you can lead them to there, because I'm not sure what it's under. I think it's under playlists, maybe.
Yeah, it is under the playlist.
I will put that in the chat.
Okay.
If we could, I can do that quickly. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, and
wonderful resource, and it's free.
Yep. And thank you. It was a pleasure being on this call today. I can't wait for the next one, Dr. Denise. When we get into the charts, that one's going to be fun. Thank you for having us. And as I always say, I'm so happy and so proud to be a part of Advanced Kingdom. The stretching, from being the stretching, I should say. Just that's all I have to say. If you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. But being here has really stretched me, and I will be forever grateful for Advanced Kingdom. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah,
awesome. How do people get a hold of you both?
I'm on Instagram as I am Dr. Denise King, and I'll put that in the chat, and Facebook as Denise King. You can always, our handles are right on the screen there. Actually, our handles are right on the screen if you want to chat or connect with us.
Yeah.
And I did put the link to the YouTube training under Advanced the Kingdom TV. I put that in the chat for those that are interested.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if you Google, or if you're on the YouTube, Advanced Kingdom TV is right there as well. But great segment today. Now, one of the co-founders of Advanced Kingdom has just joined us in the backstage.
I knew it.
And
I knew it.
I'm not sure if he's going to put on his if he puts on his camera, we'll bring him up. I'm sure he has something slick to say to both of us.
I know he does. Yeah.
Listen.
Good morning, Terrence.
Good morning.
Hi, Terrence. Good morning.
Listen, I had to throw on the camera real quick because, Tim, I feel like you were being too soft on them.
It's their first one. I had to be nice. on the first one.
Doing a little softballs to them. No, we need to know when is the next power hour. We need to know it. I said,
we have to look at our schedules, Terrence. We can't tell you right this second.
Come on now.
Look, we both got travel and some events going on in September, but we have promised that we will do another segment.
We promise.
Okay.
We promise.
And we're gonna be on the charts the next time. The next time it's gonna be juicy because we're gonna get on the charts.
Yeah.
I love the rotation. I know I do my show every first and third. If y'all could do every second and fourth, and then sometimes you could take a first or a third.
Listen, do y'all? Okay, I want to acknowledge that this is what we have to go through every day, Monday through Thursday, when we're on in the morning.
Why did Tim let Taris in the room? That's what I want to know.
I couldn't do it myself, so I was like, "Oh yeah, Taris is here. Oh yeah."
I was trying to get to a place where I could jump on real quick, so moving around. But I said, we got this. We got this.
That's hilarious.
So bad. I could stay in my seat. I wanted to do that so bad, but when you came on, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's on the pop."
Yeah. Listen, I called Dr. Denise yesterday, on the road, moving around, and I just called her for one reason only. It was to say, "I'm ready for tomorrow." I'm excited about tomorrow. That's it.
Yes.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Very valuable. Very valuable. A lot of information given. So great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for hosting us today. And I look forward to the next opportunity
Yeah.
that we have to present
Same.
goals and charts.
Absolutely. Next Friday. Thank you.
Well, awesome. We're past our time. Thank you. The Denise and Nedra Power Hour is official. We are in the building. And,
thank you, everybody, for showing up today. We appreciate your support.
Yeah, thank you so much, chat.
Yeah, awesome. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.